Hi, and welcome to another live with Lady Visionary. Hope you guys are all well. Hope everything is good with you all. Um, this evening, we're talking about what's the strategy when moving to Africa. It's something that we really need to think about. I know a lot of us want to get to the continent, but realistically, you can't just up and go like that. But for the most part, anyway, a lot of us have to plan, have a strategy in place, and then do that big move. So yes, today, I've got some points that I've written down, and yeah, it's just the strategies that we need to use. And I'm hoping that you guys will have also something to contribute. Maybe some of you already out there have already done the move and can offer some sort of advice to us, or those of us who are actually thinking about moving to the continent. What's your strategies? Can you share it with us here on the channel? I'm sure it's going to be very, very helpful for a lot of us who are planning and thinking about moving to the continent, but maybe a little bit apprehensive or don't have like their strategy game, in place. So I just want to know where you guys are all listening in from, first of all. So please let me know where you're listening in from. I would appreciate it. I just want this to be interactive. So those who are actually um, listening to the live after this, there will be a slight delay. Welcome you, all of you guys, to this new live stream. Thank you guys so much for joining. I've got the topic scrolling across the screen. What's the strategy when moving to the continent, to Africa? Where are you all listening in from? Let me know. And if you guys have any questions for me in the meantime, before we start this topic, please do go ahead and send me your questions. Be free. You can send me your questions. I'm happy to answer those questions. Um, Guys, please don't forget to support my channel by, some people will be new. So if you're new, please go ahead and subscribe. But if you're a returning sort of subscriber, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all the love and support on this channel. I'm seeing new people join in. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support here. Please do bear with me as we get into the topic. It's coming. It's coming. I'm excited about it. What's the strategy when moving to Africa? Have you guys got anything to share here on the channel? I really want to hear from you guys. So please stick around and let me know what you've got as well. What strategies do you have in place? I'm sure it's going to be so useful to a lot of people who are listening in on this topic. It's going to be a hot one. I feel like, as I said before, you can't just up and move. I feel like there definitely needs to be a strategy in place because um, I was watching something and the lady was saying, I think it's Dr. Arikana, she was saying that, so many people go to the continent, but then so many people end up basically coming back, whether it's to Europe or the USA. So, what strategy can we have in place so that basically when we get to the continent, um, we don't end up sort of saying, things are not working out. I'm heading back to where I came from. Please, guys, in the meantime, send out your questions. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Hi, Malcolm X. Hi, how are you? How are you all? DC was asking where I was. Unfortunately, I was a little bit late because I had scheduled the live stream for 9 o'clock, and then I found out that actually it was set at 8 o'clock. Um, those of you who are joining us, thank you and welcome, 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 welcome. I did say please go ahead and share my channel. We're really trying to grow this channel. So, what you can do for me on this channel by supporting is just to share with your family and friends. I'd really appreciate that so, so much. Like, I'd really appreciate that. Again, if you guys have any topics that you would like me to cover, please do send me a message and I'll try my best to cover those in detail, as much detail as I can anyway. And as always, I just want to let you guys know that I have launched the Africa Rising Investment Funds, and basically that's about that's a project basically, but which we're launching in Rwanda. So we're targeting young people from rural settings who are brilliant. We have, as I said before, like we've got amazing, brilliant, talented people in Africa, young people in Africa, but they don't have that investment. So they basically pitch their business ideas to us and are able to secure a small investment of between 200 and £1,000. So I will go ahead and put the link on the screen. So if anybody wants to support that, I'd really appreciate it. We're aiming to raise, £10,000. I know it seems like a really big goal, but I believe that we can definitely get there. Please let me know, because I'm seeing more of you guys joining. Please let me know where you're listening in from. I'd really appreciate that. Where are you guys listening in from? I've got quite a few of you here in the chat, and I just want to know where you're all listening in from. And if you've got any questions, please go ahead and type out your questions. I'm happy to answer those questions. So any questions before we kick off this topic, like just throw your questions at me. Jamal Brewer is saying, peace, lady visionary. Hello and welcome. Marvelous is saying good vibes. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Any questions at all? Ochi USA, brilliant. And then Marvelous is listening in from London. Fantastic, fantastic. Have you guys got any questions at all for me at all? One last, I'm throwing that out there. So ask your questions. And yeah, anything just that comes to mind before we get into this topic, just, go ahead and I'll answer them. Be nice with your questions. I'm joking. Anything really, it doesn't really matter. Anything relating to Africa, or any other videos that I've done here on the channel, then yeah, I'm happy to answer your questions. Okay, no one's asking any questions. Hopefully, someone will ask me a question at some point, but I'm also going to send out the link for anyone to share their ideas on the topic. I'll send out the link, and if any of you want to share your ideas with regards to this particular topic, then please do feel free. Go ahead and join the chat. Be interactive. Don't be afraid to come in and have a chat with me. I promise I don't bite. And I'm sure like what you have to say will be influential and will help other people out there who are looking at their strategies when it comes to wanting to move to the continent. Now, for me, I think with regards to the strategies, when moving to Africa, I feel like you definitely have to do some research. I know sometimes, people have emailed me and said, oh, like they ask specific questions because, they can't find it on the internet. But obviously the internet will be a bit limited depending on the country that you're sort of researching. But definitely, I would say you will need to do your research. You would need to find out what that particular country or those countries that you're looking to potentially move to, what are the immigration laws, what are the policies around you potentially moving, what are the criterias that you would potentially have to meet, what opportunities are available in that country. So, you know, you do a bit of internet research, you know, definitely. Before I even went to Rwanda, I did so much research. Before I went to Ghana, I did my research. So definitely, I believe that it's important to do your research to find out a little bit about the country um, that you potentially want to live in. You may look at one country because you're like, no, 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 I really want to move to this country because you've got your mind set on it. But I would say that you need to look at a few different options because you may kind of go to one country and or do your research and you think, well, actually, I'm not really feeling that from the research. Perhaps actually let me look at another country and see what they have to offer. So I think like you it's good to kind of look at different options as opposed to just one option. So I feel like after you've done your research, you definitely need to visit that country or those countries, visit the countries um, where you're potentially thinking to move, whether that's the Gambia or Rwanda or, you know, Nigeria or, you know, Kenya. Visit those countries. What's the vibe like? What's how do you feel in that country? Can you see yourself fitting in into those or that particular country? You know, how do you vibe with the people? What again, what opportunities are on the ground? Can you network? Can you find out about, you know, can you find out more about the culture, the people? You know, what's the general vibe? How do you feel with regards to your visit in that particular country? So definitely, I feel like you have to. It's you don't have to, but I think it's a good idea to, you know, visit a few countries and then see how which one you definitely feel like, yeah, this is this country is connecting with me and I really feel like I could set up a business here and I would fit in well amongst the people because, you know, you go different places and people have different vibes and you may connect with one country more than you would connect with another, and you don't want to kind of not have done your research, you know, move to the country and you're like, hang on, actually I'm not really feeling this. So definitely, definitely what you want to do is visit a couple of countries. I've got some notes down here as well because I really don't want to forget anything. um, you know, when you're on the ground and if you're thinking about creating a business, which I think it's very important when you're thinking about moving to Africa, um, what is the business that you want to bring to the country? Are there businesses like yours already on the ground? Can you network with people, like-minded people? Um, can you visit those businesses and can you speak with even the managers, like the CEO? Can you connect with those people? Can they give you information with regards to the figures? So, you know, is the business profitable? What sort of capital you'll be looking at when you move to that country, um, and what sort of capital you would need to invest, you know, in that country. They may even be able to tell you that, like, more about the cost of living. So you're really kind of building a picture of how your life may look like when it comes to moving to the continent and setting up a particular business. So, you know, you're finding out who is already in the market. Are you offering like a niche product? What can you do differently? You know, what are you seeing on the ground that, you know, you can bring to the table so that your business is like perhaps more unique? What business ideas would actually enable you to strive on the continent? So, you know, these are just some of the strategies that you really need to think about um, when you're thinking about like moving to the continent. You really need to maximize on finding out as much information as possible because, like Dr. Arikana said, so many people have moved to the continent but ended up kind of moving back to whether that's the US or whether that's the UK because they haven't maybe had that strategy in place, or, you know, basically when they got there they're like, well, this is not working out, or they soon find out that um, the money that they had can't really sustain them. So they're like, I got to head back to the UK, for example, because I need to get money. And so, that's why it's so important, because especially if you up and leave and you bring everything, all your house, you've packed in a container, and you're there, whether it's in Uganda, Kenya, and then it's like, right, I've got all my stuff, things are not going right, what do I do? You just feel screwed, and that can bring on so much stress. So to try and avoid the stress, it's so important that you really dissect and just look at the key things in terms of strategizing your move to the continent. I feel like I've been talking so much, guys. Um, Someone's asking a question here. I'm just going to see what's the scope of tunnel farming in Uganda, and what crops are in demand and profitable. If you send me an email, then I can connect you with someone, or I can find out for you with regards to your questions. But I can't answer that now because I don't have the information. I don't have the quality information that you would need. So email me, I'll get in contact with someone else who knows about this and can answer your question in more detail, if that's okay. Yeah. So Africa is different from other continents. That's right. So guys, I've talked about visiting the countries, and after you visited the countries, then you basically got a vibe, which country you want to go to, right? You need to understand, you need to know about the language barriers, the potential cultural barriers. um, you know is it that you're going to a country that they predominantly speak French, but you don't know any French, and you're planning to set up a business? um, is that really the place where you want to move to and live? Um, are you willing to learn the language? Are you willing to learn the culture? You would need to understand the culture with regards to business, and how to navigate your way through. Like, you really need to kind of consider these things. The language and the culture is so important. So I think this will help you to determine. Um, okay, I can send out my email as well, actually. Let's see. Okay, so we've got Jamal in the background. Welcome, welcome. Right, let's add you in. Hello, Jamal. Thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate that. Oh, your mic. Can't unmute because guess. Okay, Jamal,
Okay, absolutely.
welcome, welcome.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. How are you? Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate
Uh,
that.
yeah, yeah, it's all good. I appreciate your show. I appreciate what you're doing. I was first introduced to you on African Tiger's channel, and I was amazed at your intelligence. So I just want to show my support and just keep backing you with your endeavors.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means so much to me. You don't understand.
hmm Oh yeah, 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 no problem. Moving to the continent is a complex issue. It's a complicated issue, but it's not that complicated. I have thought about making a move. I am a resident of the U.S. I've been to Africa multiple times. My last trip to Africa was in Kenya back in earlier this year in January, right before the pandemic hit. I was supposed to go back to Kenya in June, but right now everything's still on lockdown or whatever, so that delayed my return. As far as moving to the continent, You have to be culturally aware. You have to sacrifice too, because just because you got a certain job in the States or in UK doesn't mean you're gonna be making the same amount of money in an African nation. And you also have to be a little bit more humble. You have to accept the fact that there's gonna be some things you do um, in the States or in Europe that you will have the same benefit that you will have in the States. But one thing you will have on the continent is that brotherly and sisterly love, that connection, that that humbleness, that embrace that embracing of the people. You will have to deal with the same kind of discrimination or exploitation that you do in some of these European nations. So once we once we become more politically mature and more culturally aware of Africa, I think the move just come natural. It's definitely a process. There's no perfect moment to up and move to Africa. You just got to do it, but just know what you get into and do your proper research.
Oh, definitely. So are you,
Mm.
you mentioned Kenya. You were there and you're planning to, is that a place where you're actually planning to move to?
Yes, yes, yes. I went to a few cities in Kenya. I went to the capital, Nairobi. I went to the second largest city, which is Mombasa. I went to Naivasa. So Kenya, a lot of time here in the West, you know, a lot the African countries that get a lot of exposures, or the Western countries, such as the Ghanas, such as the Nigerias, especially Ghana. Especially with the year of the return, Ghana is talked about heavily. And with all due respect to Ghana, because it's a beautiful country, beautiful people, Africa is more to Ghana. So it's so many different other great places you could visit, whether it's um, Egypt, which was once known as Kemet. Yeah, we can make the argument about the Arabs, the Arabs being a majority of the population there, but just go there to see the history and learn about the Kemite people. Or go to learn about the Nigeria history, the Yoruba tribe. They got beautiful places in Nigeria. Check out Lagos. If you think uh, New York City is hectic, then you'd be in for a rude awakening in Lagos. I've never been to Lagos, but I heard so much about it. And so there's so many different places you could check out on the continent. One of the reasons why I went to Kenya was back in 2018. I believe it was Kenya Airways who made the announcement that you have direct flights from the States to
Mm.
Kenya. So for the longest, you used to have a layover, whether it was in I think in London, or you have to stop by Ethiopia and then go to Kenya. But now, if you just make your way to New York City, it's a 14-hour flight from New York straight to Nairobi. So that's why I went. That's why I have been to Kenya multiple times, because I ain't got to worry about that no transfer visas and no. 'Cause, the flight is long enough as it is. So you don't want to
Oh,
take 2 or 3 days just to travel to one country. So, and I tell people all the time, the flight isn't that bad, even though it's 14 hours. It's kind of like sitting in your living room for 14 hours. They got movies and music and on demand type of stuff. So how sometimes you just have to get up and stretch and all this other kind of stuff. I like to keep my mind occupied with some books, TV shows, and next thing you know, we're almost there. So that's one of the reasons why I went to check out Kenya, just to learn something a little bit different, as opposed to a Ghana and Nigeria.
definitely. I hear you when you say that, like, obviously there's a lot of attention on West Africa, beautiful, beautiful places. I think it's all to do also with marketing. Ghana, as you says, the year of return, it's got a lot of attraction. There's a lot of sort of promotional material with regards to Ghana. So Ghana's really out there. Ghana is one of the places that I visited back in 2010. I had an amazing experience that sort of shaped my whole journey with regards to wanting to learn more about, African history and the people, and so that's just spiraled everything in terms of me going to different parts of the continent, and I'm yet to visit so many more places. So going back to Kenya, because you say you're going to move to Kenya, what's your strategy that you can, just one key point that you can really, that the viewers can really take from that?
I think one benefit about the states, as racist as America is you can't make a lot of capital here. You can't make a lot of money. So I remember I was telling somebody he was thinking about making a move to Kenya, but he was worried about making money in Kenya. See, people have to realize the cost of living is so much cheaper in Kenya. So the people in Kenya don't make as much money as people in the States. So you might be making let's just say $1,600 doing labor here in the States, and don't think you're gonna make that same type of money if you get a labor type of job in Kenya. You might be making only 400 US dollars in Kenya doing the same job. So what I advise the person is stack up all your money here in the States. Just save up, maybe $4,000 to $5,000, which isn't a lot of money here in the States, but in Kenya, you can live off of that literally for an entire year until you can learn how to build your own business or find some kind of work there. You know what I'm saying? So that's the benefit of living in the States. So, one good thing about the pandemic, not to disrespect anybody who might have passed from it. So I don't want to make it seem like it's a good thing, but I'm just saying in general, is that it gives you more time to build that capital here in America, get that money here in America. I'm pretty sure it's the same in the UK. Just stack up your pounds and do whatever you got to do. So now, when the lockdown start to come to an end, and the country start opening up its borders, you have a savings. So now that $5,000 that you can't do much of here in the States, you could purchase a home or some kind of business location, and you can live off of that for a good year in a Kenya or some parts of Africa.
Oh, that's really good. You mentioned, like, having a savings and, using that maybe to help you to live in the country for a year until maybe you
Hmm.
find your feet, or, until like you think about like the type of business that you want to kind of create. That
Hmm.
really comes on to my next point, because I spoke about sort of doing your research on the ground, getting to really understand the countries, visiting the countries that you want to visit, to potentially move to. And if you're thinking about, which I think it's important, because that's what Africa needs job creation. So I feel like a lot of us, when we're thinking about going to the continent, we shouldn't just think about maybe trying to find a job on the ground, because you'll find that it's very difficult or very competitive. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you look at like the percentages of jobs that are available, you'll find that there's very few. So in terms
Hmm.
of when you're thinking about, think about what business that you can create on the ground. You can do your research. You can, connect. You can learn about the geopolitics of that particular country. Learn about the neighboring countries, and perhaps you can do for example, like if you're thinking about like moving to Rwanda, like I am myself, I'm thinking about business in terms of not just Rwanda, but kind of Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Uganda, Congo. So just really sort of not narrow yourself or put yourself in a box, but really try to think outside the box. And for me, I feel like it's important to have like a really kind of solid business plan in place even before you think about moving. So,
Hmm.
the business plan allows you to really kind of home in on sort of the business idea that you want to bring to the continent. You kind of analyze your target markets, your competition. You look at like the capital that you will need to start up this business. And so that's going to also help you when it comes to saving, and what money you will need. You have to factor that into the business aspect. What is your competition on the ground? Who can you network with? Will you make enough profit in that type of business that you're going into? You know, how, you know, it just gives you a really deep analysis of your business. Um, and you know, I feel like then it has more of an opportunity to be successful, because as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you know, people have gone to the continent and ran back. So for me, I'm thinking about, right, how can I minimize the possibilities of me ending up back to square one where I started, because that would really frustrate me. And I know for a lot of people, they would probably become quite stressed and be like, you know what, I'm just giving up on this whole thing called life, because you know, you basically, you've gone somewhere to try something, you don't want to go back, but you have no choice, you know. And so that's why for me, I feel like definitely it's good to have a solid business plan in place when you're thinking about moving to the continent. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that people have a bad habit of, they do everything on the fly. I used to be that fly person, just go with the flow, wake up in the morning with no plan. And you think you're getting things done, but you realize you waste a lot of time. One thing I do with my time precisely, literally every single week, I take about 2 to 3 hours out the week and I schedule my whole week and I time block, so that way, I get things more done. A lot of times when I see people not getting enough done, they know they don't understand the importance of time. They don't know the importance of goal setting. They don't know the importance of strategizing. You can't have everything in your head. You have to look ahead. You got to look 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of time. But not only that is one thing we also have to realize. I can almost guarantee this for me, for you, for everybody in the chat. You're going to have some kind of setback. A lot of time we expect everything to go perfect. One thing uh, about me, for example, it's 4:48 p.m. here in the States. You know, a couple of things already didn't go as planned for today. So do I just throw out the whole plan because of one or two things? Went sideways? No, you adjust. You see, one thing about life, you make adjustments. Now that is one thing you do on the fly. You adjust based on the obstacles throw your way, but you just don't quit and wait for that perfect moment. A lot of time we wait for that perfect moment. We wait for the first of the month. We wait for the next day. We wait for New Year's and say this is going to be the new day. This is always saying, why wait till tomorrow for something you can start today? So we have to plan, we have to be more organized. It was Market Garvey who pointed out how disorganization is hurting us. We are not an organized people. We take organizing for granted. We're good mobilizers. We love to go out to the crowd. We love to chant. We love to march. We love to talk about injustice. That's mobilizing. But are we organizing? Are we getting things done? So we have to do that when it comes to the move of Africa. And another thing we know we have to realize we make this move to Africa, we have to integrate with the people. One thing I'm fearful of is black people from the U.S., black people from the UK, or throughout the diaspora coming over to the continent with a white supremacist mindset. So just because you are black doesn't mean give you any right to head over to Africa and be a capitalist person towards the native people of Africa. We already have something similar to that in Liberia. I said we don't need another situation like that. So don't just go to Africa and look at it as a money grab and create all these jobs, acting like you helping the people when you really just robbing the people. You know what I'm saying? You have to integrate with the people. You have to learn the culture. You have to learn the languages. Otherwise, we are no different than the Europeans.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I think, I'm seeing that as well in terms of, when you're going to, basically, what are your motives when you're going to the continent? Yes, you want
Hmm.
to go there and you want a better life, but and when you're thinking about, creating jobs, are you actually helping the people, or is it just about your gain? And you're not interested really in the people, or getting to know the language or the culture or the food, or but and also just thinking that you're better than them. Because
hmm
also that's something that Dr. Arakana said, is like, don't go to the continent and be like, I know more than the people who are on the ground. Like, there's so much that we can also learn from them. So again, it's like, are we willing to be open enough to take on information from locals, and integrate with the people and become a part of that community? Or we've just got some other motive
hmm
in our mind. So I think that's basically where you're coming from with regards to that. And you made another point about the fact that we're good to kind of talk and mobilize, but when it comes to actions, maybe it is that we're not as effective in that way. And I was reading an article, because I think the Ugandan government is also thinking about how they can mobilize people from the diaspora to Uganda to sort of invest in the country, because one of the things they said, which was quite that really stuck with me, is that a lot of people kind of on the internet, they're okay with sort of the virtual reality, like they see all the beauty, in terms of a lot of people are now showcasing the beauty of Africa and trying to change like the narratives, and including myself. And people are like, yes, I really want to come to the continent, and I really want to do this, and I really do want to do that. But the reality is, like what we would expect, it's not really happening, and it's a lot of people saying and trying to mobilize, but actually, what's happening on the ground, it's not it's not as effective, in terms of we're not actually moving to the continent and basically doing what we're saying we're going to do. So you've made some really interesting points with regards to that. So I feel like, in saying that, is we really need to be people of our word, people who actually say what we're going to do and actually mean it, and actually um, fulfill that. We actually do it. So definitely that's very important points you've made and contributed. I really appreciate that. Wow, that was really good. Thank you so much. If you want to stick around, but I'm also inviting others in, if they want to contribute. Please do feel
Okay.
free to just sorry, talking to the rest of us out there who want to come in and add something to the live. That would be much appreciated. Someone is saying, hi, Lady Visionary family, your contribution is correct. Organization is essential. I'm guilty of procrastination, but I'm slowly changing. Yeah, no one is perfect, No one is perfect.
No,
Yeah.
no, because we live in a social media age. I was just listening to a lady named Marshawn Evans Daniels on YouTube earlier today, and she said, she brought up a point. Uh, how many of us ever was having a great day and everything was going perfect, and we go on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and we see somebody post, and all of a sudden we feel down based off of what somebody else has posted, meaning feeling down because we think that person is better. See, one thing we got to realize is this: in social media, we gonna show our best sides. Period. Most people gonna show us
Course.
having a great time and on vacation, or we love our significant other, and life is great. I'm not too many people gonna go on and say I abused my wife, or I got fired from my job, or I robbed the bank. You know what I mean? But we live in that social media age where we just feel the pressure to compete based on what we're seeing online. We just want to have the glamorous life. But as you put out, nobody's perfect. You know, if I were to study your life, if I were to study everybody in the chat's life, if you were to study my life, one thing I could guarantee you, you could go back uh 10, 15, 20 years ago, or even yesterday, and find something that you probably didn't agree with. Like, hey, Jamal, I don't think you should have did that. Because we are not human. We learn every single day. You will never stop learning. You can have all the degrees. You could be 80 years old. You never stop learning. You continue to evolve as a person. It was Malcolm X who once said, um, being a criminal is not bad. I'm paraphrasing what he said. Being a criminal is not a shame. Remaining a criminal is a shame. It's saying, so we have to constantly evolve, and we got to realize we're going to have setbacks in life.
Oh, definitely, definitely. But it's about not letting those setbacks, overpower you, or make
Yes.
you feel like a failure. Like there's
hmm
there's
One
like
of one of my
go.
favorite quotes, and I apologize by the way, is it's by Dr. Martin Luther King, where he said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands at times of triumph and convenience, but where he stands at time of conflict and controversy.
Oh yes,
So basically, what he's saying is that's where your true character comes out. It's easy to do what's right or to be liked by people where everything going well. I want to see how you are as a person when you on your worst time. So if I see you persevering or being humble or being kind of respectful when you lost your job, when you dead broke, and when you going through tough times in your life, I could easily trust you when you make it. You know what I mean?
oh, definitely, I agree on that. Oh, that's a powerful quote right there. I would
Yeah.
probably be paraphrasing and saying something slightly different, but I think you've got everything word for word. Someone is saying in a few years, sorry, London to Africa is saying in a few years to come, diaspora will struggle even to secure a small piece of land in Africa. Time is now, my people. It's true, definitely time, the time is now. Like even someone was saying, like in Kenya, they bought a piece of land and now the value's shot up. But obviously if you want land of say maybe like $1,000 or something, you have to go to the really kind of rural areas, which is nothing is wrong with that. But the land prices are increasing. And on my channel here, I've actually given opportunities for people to buy land in Rwanda. They're actually building a new airport, the Bogasera Airport, and a lot of people have already invested around the airport. It's even very difficult to secure land. I've also secured my piece of land, so definitely I would say if people are looking to sort of invest, a good thing to do is invest in land. Definitely. Are you
hmm
buying any land, Jamal?
I have not. I'm in the same boat as that person who just posted talking about procrastination. I have procrastinated in that regard. No excuses. Just one thing as a people, we have to be accountable for our actions. You know what I mean? And one thing I will say is I probably should have done so a long time ago, but it's just me trying to find that credible source to do so. You know what I mean? One thing I will admit, sometimes I do have trust issues, especially when it comes to money. Because it's
Mm,
so easy to just say, "Yo, I got this plan. Let's make it happen." I've been burnt so many times when it comes to plans and investments and people not owning up to their word that it kind of have wounded me when it comes to just putting up my money to anybody who said they got a plan. I know that's a bad mindset to have. I would admit that. I will be
no, but
accountable
I
to
also
have
think
that.
you've made a valid point in that you have to be careful because a lot of the
hmm
time that money didn't it's not so easy to come by.
Yeah.
I know, like on, for example, like Kenya, I know in comparison to Rwanda, that Rwanda's got certain system in place which minimize the risk of you losing your money when you're buying land. But I know in Kenya, for example, it can be a little bit more challenging to buy land, especially if you haven't gone through the right channels. And to lose that money, for example, would be devastating for a lot of people, even for myself. I've had to kind of learn on the ground, through the going through the process of buying land. to make sure that I'm not met by like a fraudulent person. So it's through going through the process in Rwanda and understanding the process, then I've been like, there's definitely a gap, and this is how I can fill that gap and sort of facilitate anybody who also want to buy land in Rwanda, because you can meet those people who are basically no good. But as I said, in Rwanda, the system in place makes it very difficult for someone to, do a fraudulent act on you. So yeah, so I definitely understand when it comes to
Mhm.
trust issues, because definitely a lot of us would be thinking like, what if, there'll be trust issues kind of
Oh
around.
yeah, but sometimes you still have to take a risk because I think one reason why it's troublesome to have that mindset is because what you're saying is you don't trust your own people. Because the old stigma is kind of true. If a white man come with a plan, we probably be more
Oh,
trusting towards
oh,
that person.
exactly. We wouldn't think twice.
Yes,
Some
yes,
of us would,
yes.
okay, no, don't. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us would not even think twice. They'd be like,
Hmm.
right, yes, he's got the plan, and he may be the one that runs off with your cash.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
definitely, definitely.
Hmm.
Another point, basically, I wanted to kind of move on with regards to strategizing. Actually, is sorry, I'll just, if anybody wants to call in, I will put this link out again, and you can feel free to come and join us. Please don't feel afraid. Just come and share with us. I'm sure it's going to be valuable. So please, please, please feel free. I think for some people who are thinking to potentially go to the continent, one of the things that they may um, feel that may hinder them, if they've got like obviously the family ties. So, how would I feel if I leave my family and I'm there, and we don't have that everyday interaction. So
Hmm.
people can be like a bit apprehensive. So I think that's very important, because for some people, they rely on that emotional support. They may have other support that they get from certain family members. How That's definitely something to consider, because if you go there,
Hmm.
like go into a new environment for a lot of people, maybe you don't have many friends. Obviously, you have to get yourself out there. You can't just be in the house isolated. You have to kind of interact. Are there like community groups? Are there events that I can go to and interact? Can I visit like a local community events that you can really kind of integrate with the people? Like basically, when I first went to Ghana, we went to the chief's house, and we did like a celebration there with, a lot of the people within the village came, and we danced together, we ate together, and that you really kind of felt a part of. So definitely you need to think about that, how much of an impact that's going to have on you, if you're there and you don't have that support
Hmm.
system as you did when you were like maybe in the US or in the UK. Um, how are you in terms of connecting with other people? Definitely think these are things need to think about. My question to Jamal. Sorry, bear with me a second. Something's popping up here. London to Africa says, my question to Jamal: does he has family? How is he planning to go about running business in Kenya and integrating his family?
Okay, that's a good question. No, I do not have any intimate family. No, I don't have a wife or any kids. I hope to have that one day. But I don't have that. I guess that's why it's much easier for me to up and make that move. You know what I mean? Because I don't have any responsibility abroad. As opposed to somebody who might have um, their children here. They had to up and move their kids, take them out of school, and things like that. But as far as family in general goes, that is major because majority of my family is here. If it wasn't for family, there wouldn't even be an issue about whether or not I can live in Africa, because no matter how much you love Africa, no matter how much the people embrace you, no matter how much you feel at home, you're going to miss family. Like for example, when I was in Kenya, I spent last Christmas in Kenya. I arrived um, in Kenya on Christmas Day to the exact December 25th. So thus I could have had dinner with my mother, my grandfather, and all those other type of people, and time waits for nobody. One thing we learn about life, the older we get, we lose loved ones. I just lost my other grandfather just last month. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's all good. I appreciate that. So it's just like, if it wasn't for family, it would make the decision a lot more easier. But at the same time, I believe it was Mark Twain who said, 20 years 20 years from now, you will regret the things that you did not do over the things you did do. So even though family is important, do you really want to miss out on an opportunity because of family?
I understand. I think also it depends on where your heart is, sometimes you've just got to go after the things that you want and think about yourself, but definitely you have to consider how much of an impact that's going to make on you if you make the move and you're not with your family. Someone is saying, Jamal, you can start your own family in Kenya. Definitely. And he's,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
beautiful Kenyans there. So if he's thinking about that, then definitely, why not?
that's
Definitely.
true.
On the topic of family, because I've got my husband and two boys, and when the pandemic has, well, we don't know what's going to happen, but we're looking to get back to Rwanda as well. And one thing we've spoken about is the education of our children. And I think sometimes people, when they think about African education, they really sort of undermine the education there. But again, you have to do your research, and then also when you're on the ground, you can also find out what institutions, educational institutions, what schools are available for your children. For example, there's some really top uh, schools and colleges and universities in Africa. But unfortunately, a lot of people think, oh, education in Africa, what that's going to be like. And obviously, there's a fear around that as well. But definitely, if you do your research, like I did when I was in Rwanda, I visited schools, potential schools, nurseries that my boys could potentially go to. I know some of the best high schools, for example, and even one or two good universities. So definitely, that's something that needs to be considered. And don't be afraid to kind of take that leap of faith as well. But definitely, there is good quality education in Africa. I know that there's a lot of negativity in regards to that. People leave Africa to obviously there needs to be improvements with regards to that, but um, you know don't believe everything that people say. There are some good institutions in Africa when it comes to education. So I just really want to sort of put that point out there. And you
Hmm.
may also have people who think about healthcare. Healthcare in Africa, healthcare in Africa can be a problem, but things are definitely improving. Like for example, like Rwanda has made tremendous progress in healthcare within certain aspects within the country. They've got like insurance to cover the population. There's private hospitals, there's public hospitals. So you need to think about maybe if healthcare, obviously, definitely you need to think about healthcare when you're moving to the continent. Is it that you're going to tap into like the public sector when it comes to healthcare? How do you go through the administration with regards to that and make sure that you're covered? You know, if you're thinking about having the option of like the private sector, like I've used the private sector when I'm in Rwanda with regards to healthcare for my kids. Again, if you're using the private hospitals, you have to factor in the costs that are going to be involved in seeking for private healthcare. You have to think about your budget with regards to that. If you potentially get sick, we can get sick anywhere, whether that's in the UK, US. You can get sick in Africa as well. So just making sure that you have that all covered, and that's part of the strategy when thinking about moving to the continent. And so that kind of puts your mind at rest. Like, for example, when I'm in Rwanda, I'm not really concerned about healthcare because I know where what to do and where I'm going if something comes up. I'm confident with that. So again, thinking about moving and moving and thinking about, well, I need to be positioned um, in the right area. So if you go really rural, you may find that, okay, you don't have those hospitals that have all the facilities. So is it that you need to think about positioning yourself in a particular area so that if you need to access healthcare in time, you can access that? So lots of research to do. You can do that on the internet, but also when you get on the ground, so you have that security. I visited hospitals on the ground even before using those facilities, so I know um, what's in place if I potentially need those services. Let's see. Someone's saying, question to everyone in the chat. Do you think Black people are scared to take risks? Yes. What can we do to change the narrative? Yeah, definitely. I think that's partly what we're discussing now, isn't it? I think having a strategy somehow helps to, reduce the fear that we have within ourselves, and
Hmm.
that's why I wanted to kind of come on here and sort of really talk about some of the strategies and seeing what sort of ideas other people could share to help us kind of with reducing the fear that we have when it comes to um, going to the continent. Because it's true, a lot of people, as much as they would love to visit the continent, they have a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear. So how can we help our brothers and sisters is by sort of having these type of discussions and trying to strategize, having a plan in place. Sometimes obviously things are not going to go um, things are not going to go as planned. But you need to be able to be flexible. So if this doesn't work out, you don't just think, oh gosh, I've made this plan, and just try to adapt within your situation. Be open-minded. I think that's really, really important. And I think earlier we spoke about as well, just going on to, you talked about, we spoke about jobs and creating jobs for ourselves, and not just going there with the idea of, oh yeah, I'm going to go and find a job, but actually thinking about creating jobs. And even before taking that move, do you need to think about being a freelancer so that you can accumulate more money, potentially taking on more hours at your job, potentially taking another job so that um, like really save and accumulate the funds, like Jamal spoke about, you spoke about as well, like having savings and accumulating that fund, which myself I've tried to do in the past. And I think Jamal, you're doing that as well, when it comes to your move back to Kenya, is trying to accumulate, have that savings,
Yes.
and knowing that because you've done all your research, you've done maybe the groundwork, then you're like, right, this is the amount I need to make my move. And then you can feel kind of secure in that because you've kind of strategized, and now you've had your plan, and now you've got your plan in place.
Hmm. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, um, you know, I can't put enough emphasis on, the importance of planning. And knowing where you headed. As I brought up earlier in the conversation, we keep a lot of things in our head, and when we keep a lot of things in our head, that leads to procrastination. I think somebody brought up in the chat, how do we remove that stigma of taking a risk? Because as I brought up, I have that I'm guilty of that as well. As I gotta be more confident in some of my approaches when it comes to taking chances, because if that white man puts something on the table, then a lot of us, we feel comfortable. See, the one thing about white supremacy is, a lot of time when we look at racism as, propaganda when it comes to making black people look bad. You know, black people are this, black people can't do this, which is true on a lot of occasions. But another thing that white supremacy has done, they have basically or practically purified everything that's white. And when you purify everything that's white, you make it seem like anything that they do is right, as if they can't do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing about white supremacy and racism that we gotta learn. And that's something we have to do with each other. See, a lot of times, especially when it comes to Africa, how many times we talk about the issues of Africa, we talk about the African leaders. But do we ever give any credit to some of the heroes of Africa? Where's the discussion about that? You see, one thing about racism and white supremacy, you know, uh, you could talk to the people here in the States about George Washington all day. When I say the people, I'm talking about white people. I bet you about 95% of them say he was an honorable president. Why? Because from birth, they practically was bombarded with the image of George Washington being a great revolutionary hero who made the United States independent from Great Britain. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they had the Fourth of July. They had fireworks. So even if you come up with something factual about George Washington, they go to debunk that or dispel it, because they've been bombarded in their head to purify George Washington. And I think that's one thing we have to start doing. Instead of having 80% of conversation based on the bad, based on the negative. So let's start, having engage in a more conversation in which we can highlight, some of the greatness of our people. 'Cause we got great people throughout the world, throughout the diaspora. Just like in the UK. I have said before, one thing I appreciate about the UK is I feel like the UK got some of the most revolutionary minded people in the entire world. A lot of time where I hear somebody conscious, where I see somebody radical, where I see somebody intelligent, I might think they from the States and they say they from London. You know what I mean? So we have to have more positive images to reverse that cycle.
Um, yes, you made a really good point there with regards to like celebrating the heroes, and a lot of times you see that the criticism of African leaders,
Hmm.
but people, I think, when it comes to some of the issues around African leaders, I think people also fail to understand the depth of maybe why they operate in the way that they do. A lot of the times you have the West and the USA, the involvement that sort of pulls a rein on our African leaders, because it's a system that's been in place for too long, basically, and sometimes their hands are tied. Not to say that that's a reason why they shouldn't sort of step up and do what they're supposed to do, but just really kind of look at the bigger picture as to what's really happening. If you look at the history and how, even the West will kind of feed into that whole thing where we bash our leaders, because that's exactly what they want. They
Hmm.
want to keep us sort of broken and not unified, and that's how they've been able to conquer. And it's through that, brainwashing and sort of the use of very powerful psychology. So definitely we need to definitely recognize what's happening in terms of our leaders, but definitely we need to celebrate more our heroes, people who also are doing great things on the continent. We need to bring that to the forefront a bit more. And so hopefully it's people like us, who are also going to do that when we're on the ground, just to showcase the brilliance of Africa, people who are doing amazing things on the continent, and that people don't know about. So I think it's going to be up to us as well to contribute towards sort of changing that narrative, as opposed to always sort of like the story of, oh, our African leaders, they need to do this and do that. But what can we do to bring forth the stories of those people who are doing great work on the continent? Now, Marvelous is saying, learn to live cheaper than you do now. Leave the sweets alone and the munchy foods that make you waste money and get hungry, I guess, in 20 minutes. Ground food, veg, leave the rice. Africa, don't grow it. Yeah, so that's a really important point. Obviously, we need to think about ways in which we can eat healthier foods. We need to, like, there's a lot of unnecessary spending. So we need to really kind of re strategize with our money, sit down and think about how we're spending the money. A lot of the times we accumulate things that we don't need, and that's a lot of waste when you could be sort of gathering all of that resources, all of that money towards your project, towards your move to Africa. We live in a very sort of materialistic society where everything that you see that's advertised, oh, I want to buy that, I want to buy that. You could accumulate so many things. You go in your cupboards and you're just like, oh my god, when did I buy that? You can't even, you don't even know when you bought that. You look on the label and you're like, oh my god, that cost me like $60, like, and you it's something that you basically don't need. So definitely, I think as a people, because you know, I feel like our people, we have so much, and in terms of money, we have so much collectively. But again, there's a lot of mismanagement in terms of our money and our resources. So that's something that also we need to think about when strategizing towards our move to the continent. Is cutting out those unnecessary spends and think about how you can use that money to perhaps invest. If you really sat down and really kind of dissect the numbers, how much money am I spending on this? How much money am I spending on that? Is this necessary? For example, I have a mobile contract. Do I need this particular contract? Can I downgrade? All of these unnecessary things that, it's just there. And every time you see something, you have to buy it, but it's not necessary. How is that progressive in terms of, meeting your goal when it comes to gaining that capital and that saving that you need to successfully move to the continent and be comfortable and basically start a business. Someone is saying, so Marvelous, you talked about rice, you talked about the import. Yes, Africa is importing a ridiculous amount of rice, like, oh my god. And it's not necessary, because if you look at the nutritional content of rice, it's really got
Hey, you
not.
know what's so funny? What's so funny is just today I went to a food drive where they was giving away food by a Liberian um organization here in my city. It's a great organization. I appreciate them having a food drive to help people with this whole COVID situation. So they gave me about 6 bags of rice. And I took it home. I don't plan on eating it, but I know a lot of people who like rice. Where I see them, I plan on giving it to them. But when I was taking it out my car, the nutrition label came up. And one thing that surprised me, that caught my eye, like I said, it's just funny you bring this up. It just happened about 2 hours ago. Is that a cup of rice, just a cup, a cup. A lot of time we think a cup is like 16 ounces. A cup is really, truly 8 ounces. A cup of raw rice is 150 calories. White rice. And I was like, wow, a small cup of white rice is 150 calories. Like I said, the true definition of a cup is 8 ounces. And you know, a lot of time we have bowl full of rice. So if you times that by make that maybe 32 ounces, you know what I mean? Then you probably looking darn near 1,000 calories for one meal. So, but you know, rice is very popular in Africa. You know, from the jollof, from the wachi. You know, so many dishes and on the continent consists of rice, and we still think that culturally would be all right if we eat that, but there's definitely some long term ramification when it comes to it. It's similar to soul food here in America. You know, one thing about black people in America, we eat soul food because it's tied back to slavery, back to where we had to cook some of the stuff because we would be out in the field, you know, and so we would have to eat the pig and the greens and the mac and cheese and all this other kind of stuff, but we're not knowing uh the health disbenefits that stuff has. So that's a real interesting point that you brought up about that.
No. I've been learning myself, trying to get my health like in a better position. I've even recently done a video about getting fit before going to the continent, which I think it's important as well. Um, yeah, rice. It's just been profitable to a lot of countries, not Africa, because Africa is importing so much rice. Again, you spoke about the nutritional value, um, and looking at for us, we need to look at alternatives because our bodies are so easy to convert things into fat. So we really need to think about what we're eating, and I think a lot of the push in terms of what's imported into Africa, it's not, and some of the foods, it's not for our benefits. And so we really need to kind of be more conscious in terms of what we're consuming. What are we consuming? What value does this have? And is it that we need to change? Like recently, I'm not really eating rice so much anymore, and I'm eating more like couscous, which has more nutritional value than basically rice. So changing up the whole diet and just being more conscious of what we eat. I am going to bring in Jamal. Please stay where you are, if that's
Okay.
okay. I'm going to bring in our next guest, which is Witness, and see what he has to add to the conversation. And anyone else who does want to come in, again, I will send the link out. Um, Anyone else who wants to add to this conversation, what's the strategy when it comes to moving to Africa? What do you have to add to the conversation?
Good evening, Lady Visionary.
Witness.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. I saw by accident. This is my first time on your channel. I just noticed your question, and I thought, yeah, very interesting. So I just wanted to contribute and maybe even discuss what I'm about to say. I do not know. I was just going to say, if you wish to go to an African country, first thing to do, obviously, is do the research on which country you want to go to, and make sure you speak the main language there. So if you want to go to Botswana, then they speak English, cool. If you want to go to Togo, well, you have to learn French because that's the main language. They don't speak English. But if you want to go to an English-speaking country, choose the one you want to go to. And then the first thing you do is you go there on holiday first. Take baby steps. Take it stage by stage. I don't know if you've mentioned that. So you just go there on holiday, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, and you use that opportunity to do a bit of exploration, see if you like things there, see if you can enjoy the cuisine, see if you enjoy the culture, being around the people. Don't stay in the hotel all the time. So just go there on holiday first. If you like it there, then the next thing to do would be to find out how you could get a job and try and get a job before you then commit to that country. But if you do go to the country without getting a job, then you will need capital, money on you, so that you can sustain yourself for however long. Of course, it's brilliant if you know people there in that country. You can stay there and they can support you for a while. But if you're a complete newbie, you don't know anyone, first go there on holiday for a number of weeks. Take your time and familiarize yourself with it. If you like it there, then that's the next stage when you then try and get work. That's what I would say. but you take your time, baby steps.
Oh yeah, he made a good point about don't stay at a hotel, because each and every time I went to Africa, I stay at an Airbnb. I only stay at a hotel one time when I was in Africa. That's because the Airbnb where I was staying at had some plumbing issues, so I had to stay at a hotel until I transferred to another Airbnb. But it's good to stay at Airbnb because you live among the people. You get to see how they live. Get to see them interact with you. Most of the hotels in Africa, they look like the hotels here in the States. So it's like you don't get that African feel. But when you stay at an Airbnb, you stay at an apartment among the village or among the countryside or among the people, you really integrate with the people. So like for me, for example, a lot of time they don't know I'm from the States until I speak. That gives it away almost every time when they hear my accent. It's funny. It got to the point where I would step out the house when I was over there. I would just be quiet because I didn't want nobody to come my way and start staring at me and all this other kind of stuff, wondering where I was from. But it's a beautiful thing at the same time to see them, you know, embrace me as their own. You know what I mean? So he made a great point about living among the people when you visit a country of your choice. If you think about making a move, if you can live among the people, that will likely better the chance of you moving there permanently.
No, definitely agree. Like with that point that Witness said as well, and he talked about just kind of taking things slow. I think also we mentioned, um, you know, actually going to the place that you want to move to, and really sort of integrating yourself and just having a feel of the place. I think that's so important. Again, if he spoke about language. If you go to I think Togo is mainly a French speaking country. Can you speak French? Are you willing to learn French? So those are some key things that we need to think about when strategizing with regards going to the continent. But maybe I'll ask this question afterwards. I'm going to add Andel to the stream and see what he has to add with regards to the strategies when moving to Africa. Hello, welcome.
Good evening to everyone.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
How are you?
I'm good, and how are all of you? Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Good.
My little 2 cents I would add is that, well, my trip has been planned for next year, around this time for about 3 months.
Wow.
And my plan is I'm going to take my time, look for Airbnb, as one of the brothers rightly said, start to learn the culture a bit, integrate, try to scour as much as I can, because I'm looking to go into agriculture. Because what I've gathered with regards to information about land ownership for the natives in, let's say, Tanzania, most of them don't own their own land. And I was thinking about having a strategy where I could buy a whole large piece of land and carve out all those things in plots for each native African to work the land, and their reward would get the land afterwards. A carve out plot for themselves, transfer to them as my way of paying them off for assisting me with developing agriculture on the continent itself. What do you think about that strategy?
For me, I think it's a good strategy. I think investing in land is a good way to go when it comes to Africa. I myself and my husband, we've actually invested in land in Rwanda, and agriculture. I think it's agribusiness. It's a really brilliant idea because Africa feeds the world. But a big problem is that Africa also has a problem with feeding its own people. There's so much opportunities when it comes to um, agribusiness, and yeah, there's so much opportunities that people don't really sort of think about. I myself, I've just thought, well, I'm going to go into agribusiness, and I'm working on that at the moment, and I'm planning to acquire like more land as well. So definitely seems like you've got a good strategy in place, really.
Okay.
Agriculture, I think, is the way to go. And you'll find that like many people, like the problem, like for example in Rwanda, there's a lot of agriculture businesses happening, but the problem is on a very small scale. So the amount that's produced is not meeting the demand, basically. So definitely, where are you thinking about moving? Sorry, did you say that?
I'm thinking about moving to Tanzania.
Oh wow, wow. Are you from there, or are you visited Tanzania, or what's your connection? Why did you choose Tanzania?
I have a friend actually immigrated to there a few years ago, and I was sent an invitation a little while, but I wasn't ready then, and I plan to make my first trip next year to there to start on learning the culture, also trying to get my foothold in the continent to chase my roots and so forth to see where I could connect with the people.
Okay.
And because I'm coming from the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago to be exact,
Oh wow.
and and I always wanted to help help the food security and also land tenure issues on the African continent. I'm a landowner where I live here, and I from the research I had, I know many Africans on the continent, the natives there, they don't own their own land. So I thought that this system that I created would, could maybe help them to properly and more quickly get access to own their own land in the continent. Because I believe, for the most part, the native Africans should be getting the first priority in terms of the benefits of their own countries and so forth,
Oh,
as a
most
matter of respect for them.
definitely. I definitely agree with that. Definitely. So I'm going to
Mhm.
throw another question out there, and I'll probably rotate it and see what you all have to say about this particular question, starting from Jamal. So an idea that I have is that basically we should have an investment in the country that we're coming from. So, for example, I'm from the UK, having an investment in the UK, if we can, before potentially moving to the continent. So that way, you can possibly also have something to sustain you as part of your plan. Obviously, I know it's not going to be maybe um, realistic for everybody, but I feel like that could be part of the strategy when you think about moving to the continent. So just starting from Jamal, and then we'll hear from Witness, and then Anzel.
That's a good question. And by the way, this would have to be my last statement. I have a telephone call coming up at 6 o'clock. It is 5:39.
Okay, no.
But I definitely want to. I appreciate you having me on this conversation. I'm kind of upset now because it's getting good, but I really have to take this phone call. But you're doing great things, and I really appreciate your channel, and I'm looking forward to more conversations. And shout out to the brother for the Caribbean because I've been to places like Jamaica and I've been to Haiti, and the Caribbean people has kept a lot of their African tradition intact. One thing I noticed while I travel out there. I mean, there might be some differences, but there's a lot of the practices that are the same. We definitely had to invest um, to our home countries. I don't like to say the word home because Africa is home to me, but yeah, but to be specific, I understand where you're coming from as well. Because one thing Malcolm X talked about, Malcolm X was a Pan Africanist, and he talked about how we should move back to Africa. But at the same time, he said you cannot forget about the people back home who are going through racism, and exploitation. So while you live with the good life in Africa, all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, you still got to fight for the people who you left back at home. So we definitely got to have some investment to fall back on, to be able to go back and forth. And I think one thing we are slipping on is, agriculture is good. It is great. It's something we've been doing for centuries. You know, um, we have to learn how to take care of the free stuff that is ours, but we can't underestimate the technology. There's money on the internet. I don't think people realize how much money is on the internet nowadays. The days when you just open up a mom and pop shop and call it a day, those days are coming to an end. You better learn how to sell online. You better learn how to network online. One thing I noticed about a lot of people who coming out of poverty in Africa is doing, they're going to the internet. They are connecting with the people from the UK. They are connected with people from the States in the diaspora. So Africa might be poor when it comes to economics, you know what I mean? But um they realize there's wealth outside of Africa economically. We all know Africa is, or I think we should know Africa is the richest continent when it comes to resources. But so many colonial powers came and stripped them of the resources. So now we got a long ways to go. So we can't sleep on technology. So no, that's why I recommend to people, if you want to make the move, why not have an online business to where you can operate from a Kenya, from a Cameroon, from a Togo. So now all you need is a Wi-Fi. So that doesn't stop. You can still ship out your merchandise wherever you are. You can have an online store to the point where you don't have to ship it out yourself. You just pay a fee somewhere and have it distributor ship it out for you. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of money on the internet. So once you establish an online base in America where there's a lot of people with money, you can still operate that same business from wherever African country you decide to move to. So don't sleep on this technology.
Oh, most definitely. That's a valid point right there. I think obviously that's where we're going. Like we're heading the digital world. As much as it's criticized, we also need to appreciate it in some respects. That a lot of things are happening online, and as you say,
Yeah.
learning how to tap into the money maybe that's online as well. So we really kind of need to engage with that. But definitely, I agree. Very valid points. I know you have to go, but thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Like I said, you're doing wonderful work, and I'm looking forward to keeping up with you and your channel, and I'm looking forward to being back.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Because obviously I'm looking to go back to Rwanda, and if you're in Kenya as well, you're welcome to Rwanda, and I'm
Oh
definitely
yeah.
coming to Kenya, so we definitely would love to
Okay.
connect with you as well.
Yes, 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 yeah. We
Also,
definitely will connect, and I'll be reaching out to you.
oh, thank you so much, Jamal. I really appreciate your time here.
All right. Take care. Everybody on the panel, take care.
Okay, you take care. Bye bye.
Goodbye. Take care.
Mhm.
You too, brother. You be safe,
All right.
man. Good advice. Good
All right.
advice,
Thank you,
man.
sir.
So, Jamal, Jamal has left us, and he's made some valuable contributions, and yeah, we really appreciate him calling in. So we'd like to hear from you, Witness, with regards to investing, for example, in the UK or in the US, or wherever you're coming from, before moving to Africa. That being a strategy, what's your take on that?
I think it is a brilliant strategy that you mentioned. One of the most obvious things you could do is, which is very popular in the UK, is invest in property. So maybe you have a flat, maybe you have a house, and you rent it out.
Yeah.
And so you collect money whilst you are in an African country. You can have an ISA, I guess, if you want, but property, which is very popular in the UK, you have property rented out, so you're paying off your mortgage and you're getting money as well. So that's the one thing I could think of. I wasn't even thinking about that till you mentioned the idea of investing, and I can see the importance to it, to actually have money growing within the country you are leaving. So, I mean, the first thing that popped into my head is property. If you have a flat, or a house, yeah, you can do that. That's what I would definitely do. I didn't know about that before. I didn't.
That's why it's important to have. We're having these conversations, because even I'm learning from having discussions with all of you guys out there. Like, I've learned so much already. So you'll be surprised. You think, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? Like, this is such a brilliant idea, potentially. You know?
Definitely. There are probably other things that people would know about investing, but to me, the most obvious, because I'm in the UK and people love buying property in the UK. So so that's the thing I would do. But yeah, that's basically it. I wanted to. I was going to ask you a question, but you already answered it. You said it's Rwanda that you are interested in. So
yes, I was actually in Rwanda before the lockdown in the UK. I came back briefly just to sort some things out, and got stuck here. So I am looking forward to getting back there. Rwanda is the country I'm deciding to, just make my contributions, and I hope that I'll have the capacity to expand and go to other, invest in other African countries as well. But that's one of the reasons of my platform, is that I can encourage other people. If I don't get to other parts of the continent, maybe someone else can. I can encourage somebody else too, and hopefully by documenting my journey, people can also say, oh my God, she's done this, and maybe I can also do this, or I didn't know about this. Now I know. Oh my God, my eyes are opened up to the possibilities. Maybe I can also take that leap of faith. I just wanted to come back onto the point of property and rental properties, and like investing in that, and see, like, there's several videos, or no, there was one video that Wodamaya put out actually, and it was some guys in Ghana who've actually invested in real estate in Ghana, and they said basically they're kind of back and forth from the UK to Ghana, and they also have invested in properties within the UK. So I was like, right, that also is, people would say, like, once I go to Africa, that's it. I don't want to see the US, or I don't want to see the UK again. But, other people have a different stance on things. They see it as, well, maybe I can also tap into investment opportunities here in the UK, for example, and also do my thing over in Africa. So for me, I'm not like, oh, let's completely disconnect. But again, what can we do to facilitate us and help us where we are on the continent? Because we have to just think. Sometimes we think with our emotions. We're like, all this is happening in the UK, but maybe we can use it to our advantage. I'm just saying.
Yes, I definitely agree. I mean, I don't want to take up too much of your time, because I actually learned a lot about that. I do have a relative brother who's based in Africa, but he has property here, and he's always held on to it. So I guess that's where he's getting his money, apart from other things he does. But it would be good to invest in other things. Somebody in the chat, I think, mentioned DC mentioned cryptocurrency. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so, I don't know anything about that. How about investing? Yeah, I can't really give any insight on that, because I don't know anything about
that's okay. I just wanted to wish you luck on your plans for Rwanda, and to the brother from Trinidad, I wish him all the best of luck for his plans. And I really enjoyed the short time I was here. Maybe I'll look out for your channel again to see what other lovely subjects you discuss, and I'll come back for that. But till then, thanks very much.
If you're not already subscribed, go ahead.
I'll do that right now. Thank you very much, friend.
Thank you so much, Witness, for
You're
your
welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Yes,
brother.
goodbye.
More blessings to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Oh, hello, Randall. So, thank you so much for waiting patiently till your turn. What do you have to say with regards to investing? Where you're coming from? So you're saying, for example, you're from Trinidad, isn't it? You're in Trinidad as we speak.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I am.
You've got a diverse, array of people here coming. It's just amazing. It's fantastic. So what do you think about what I've said with regards to that?
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought it up because one of my other ideas is I have did some research on YouTube with regards to Tanzania, with regards to what things that they have going for them and what things that they lack. And I came across a sister from Sweden named Tina Safarina, and also another sister from America named Traveling Sister. And I think the sister Tina Safarina mentioned that one of the things that they have is poor that that she's not satisfied with is um the slow broadband services, right? Internet services.
Mhm.
And I have a couple people that I work with that who are very skilled in that area. And I was thinking one of the areas I could go and do there is that with regards to investing is to help build up a better internet broadband system. As the brother mentioned about technology, I think that is a great idea. What do you think about that
Sorry,
idea?
just to be clear, you're talking about like in investing in Tanzania, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, I want to come back onto that point, but I want to just go back to the question that I asked before we come back onto that point. So I was asking what do you think about investing in the country that you're coming from? So before you move to Africa. So for example, investing in Trinidad before you
Oh,
go to Tanzania.
oh, right. Well, what I'm doing in Trinidad and Tobago is basically the things that I plan to bring to the continent. So I am into agriculture. I also have a general contracting company that I co-own with another brother, right? I am
Wow.
a I am a licensed air conditioning technician by trade, and I'm also starting up my real estate businesses. So
Oh
and I'm
wow.
going and I'm acquiring my grocer's license because I want to open a supermarket eventually. But
Oh wow. Okay. So you've got some good things going for you in terms of obviously when you move to the continent, potentially you have investments in Trinidad that can also support you um on your adventures in Tanzania. Just coming back then onto, you talked about internet services, and I think obviously there is so much scope within Africa for the development of technology and internet services. So definitely, there's room. So, if you can do it, I think go for it. Definitely. Yeah, because also I have some friends, I think in Rwanda, who is also sort of tapped into sort of that sort of business with regards to provision of internet services, and that's been going really well for him. So I think that's an amazing project. So you definitely need to sort of research a bit more into that and see whether it will be something that you'd want to definitely take on.
oh, thank you kindly. I also heard great things coming out of Rwanda. Could you care to enlighten me about Rwanda, just in case I might have to stop there on my trip also?
Definitely, I would say that. Oh, I praise Rwanda so much. Rwanda has made tremendous progress since the genocide. I think everybody, when they think about Rwanda, they think about the genocide. Also, there's so much more happening, and that has happened since then. They've made progress, as I said earlier, in healthcare. The economy in Rwanda is booming. Um, they've got like increased tourism that's been sort of going up each year, if it wasn't for COVID. So Rwanda is really kind of putting themselves out there on the map. They've got their own airline, Rwandair, which I travel with like all the time. There's so much opportunities. They really, the one thing about I love about Rwanda is like before, like I was every time I went to Rwanda, there was a new development. I'd be like, oh my goodness, like so much has changed. They're invested or they're investing in infrastructure. They're really trying to uh, build the country and push the country forward. And trying to lift the people out of poverty. Obviously, some people may argue that the progress is not fast enough, but at least something is happening. We definitely are seeing changes within the country. Rwanda also, the government has a plan, so a plan is laid out of how the future should kind of look like. And, just it really just offers hope to the people. They're currently building a railway that was going to come in I think, is it, sorry, through East Africa into Kigali. So that's a massive, massive project. They're also building a new international airport in Bugesera. So there's great opportunities to invest in land and business surrounding the whole new airports. Obviously, considering that railway is coming to Rwanda, to get goods into the country fast and quick. We've got the rise in tourism, so many people coming to Rwanda. Can you think about investing in sort of property and providing accommodation for people? They want Rwanda to be like a conference hub. So many different people are coming from different countries to hold conferences in Rwanda. And you think about when people are coming to a space, they need food. So again, agribusiness, agriculture, is that an area that you want to sort of tap into because there's a market for that? Rwanda's really done well. Kigali, which is the city of Rwanda, it's the cleanest city in Africa. Plastic bags are banned. Plastic bags are banned. It's not allowed. If you open your bag and you've got plastic bags, you could be potentially fined, or they'll probably ask you to remove it, but you're not allowed it in the country. And there was even a video of Wadamaya, and that's how I think I came across Wadamaya, is because he was eating out of a gutter in Kigali, and people were like, "What? This is crazy!" But when you go to Rwanda, you really see for yourself that it is very clean and quite very organized. Yeah, so a lot's improved in Rwanda, and those things in terms of security, I feel safe when I'm there. I've never had any problems. I've been going to Rwanda since 2014. I've never felt like scared or anything. I feel safe in Rwanda. And so, all of those things I've just said has really kind of attracted me to say, I want to start with Rwanda in terms of giving back to Africa. Let me start with Rwanda. But prior to kind of going to Rwanda, I was doing a lot of sort of charity work. I've done work in Ghana, in healthcare, because I'm a physiotherapist. I've done work in Jamaica. I launched a project called Comfort and Educate the Kids, where I was bringing like books and educational toys to underprivileged communities. Rwanda's fantastic. Yeah. So yes, that's what I have to say about Rwanda. I've been like rambling on about Rwanda.
No, you could continue because I'm learning a lot of stuff actually. There's many things that they.
I'm an ambassador for Rwanda. That's how I sound.
Indeed. So how is the cost of living there with regards to like the currency, the exchange rate? How far your money can go with doing things there and business wise as well? To expound on that, if you can.
Yes, I think with regards to the pound, I think £1 is about 1,000 and a bit Rwandan francs. What I can say about the cost of living, I think that Kigali, can I say expensive? Kigali is a bit expensive, if I'm honest. The city is a bit expensive, but there are areas outside of Kigali that you can really live quite comfortably on like a budget of say $600 or $700 a month. And if you go even further out, you're talking less than that. So maybe like $500 a month, depending on how it's all about you as well. Like some people, when they move, they want to have all their comfort foods and, but it's really about, when I'm in Rwanda, I eat like the local food, I eat the greens, like, all of those things that are healthy for us. So I'm not into like the fast food and, all of that. So, food is relatively can be relatively cheap, especially when you're outside the outside of the city. So yeah, it's not that expensive outside of Kigali. Yeah, and as I said, like, you know, there's lots of opportunities with regards to business. So it's about you taking that leap of faith and doing your research and visiting Rwanda. And again, you're welcome to Rwanda. Once I'm there, I'm happy to host every single one of my supporters. I'll be like, guys, come on, you need to visit Rwanda, hashtag visit Rwanda. So, and you know, hopefully I'll be there also to host you as well. So yeah, thank you so much, Mandel. I really appreciate you calling in and all your contributions here with us.
Thank you kindly, Miss Lady Visionary, and you enjoy the rest of the stream. Have a good evening. Thank you kindly for having me.
Thank you. Take care now. Right. Thank you, everyone who has been listening into this live. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and send them out to me. We're about to round up. If you think there's anything that I didn't cover, then yeah, just send me your questions. But we're about to round up right now. Or if anybody wants to, you know, add something to the live, then please do go ahead and call me. There's no us, sorry. It's just me here. Like, yeah, there's just me here now. Anybody wants to call in, please feel free. Any questions, please go ahead and type them. So again, what do you think some of the strategies should be when moving to Africa? I have sent the link out again. If not, we'll be wrapping up in the next few minutes. Again, I want to just thank each and every one of you that's, you know, taken the time to listen into this live. Please go ahead and, you know, click the like button. As I said previously, I think before many of you joined the chat, I'm really wanting to grow my channel, and I believe that my supporters are going to help me to build the channel. So please do feel free to, you know, share with your family and friends, you know, people who you think are interested in moving to the continent. If you find one of my videos that may be useful to them, you can also share my videos on social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, you name it. So please do support by sharing. I've got many different videos on the channel here, so you can, you know, if you're new to the channel, you can go and actually have a look at the previous content I've done on this channel. And again, I have said, if there's anything that you want me to cover, then please do feel free to send me an email or a message. I'm on Instagram as well as lady_visionary. So we can always have a conversation on Instagram as well. So, and I do try to connect with everybody and answer like emails. I get quite a few emails that I have to answer, and some DMs. So don't be afraid. I don't bite, I promise. Don't be afraid to get in touch with me. We have Marvin about to join us. So he obviously has something to say. So please do stick around and listen to what Marvin has to say with regards to this particular topic. What's the strategy when moving to Africa? And again, if anybody else would like to join us to add their contributions, please do go ahead and do that. Welcome, Marvin.
How you doing? I'm good. Give thanks. I'm good.
Wow.
I just wanted to add in something some listeners to keep in mind. If you move in, they should also have an idea of, yes, definitely investing back home, because we were always taught that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You must always have a security plan. Also, they can look into white label products. You know, there's certain products that you can buy and you can just attach your name and your brand into it. in different areas and different sector, whether you want to be selling, clothes, hair, shoes, small food bottle products or canned products. There are white labels towards all of these. So they can definitely do that research, and they can sell it both on the continent and both in the country where they reside. There is also freelancing jobs that they can look into, where they can buy and sell online, eBay, Amazon, many other places. They can even use, for those in America, they can use Craigslist to sell and buy stuff. I mean, all you have to do is just get a family member to say, hey, can you post this for me if it's possible? And yeah, you do your buying and selling there. Also, yeah, commission-based jobs as well. Those who are good with the laptops, they can go in and, help, get people to rent apartments, do small things that will make them gain a commission. So whilst they're on the continent now, they have something small coming in. But what they must always keep in mind is that they need to make sure that they learn how to live cheaper when they go there. So always remember that, your as I said, your eating habits has to change, dress code has to change. And even, so for the men who like to go to the barbers and so on, like walk with your shavers yourself. They're the ones that are charging. All of these little things you keep in mind. But once you go down there as well, walk with your tools for your trades and for your farming. You do your cash crops quickly and you can live off of that. But one of the key aspects to not forget is that you have to make sure that when you reach and you communicate with the people as well, they can teach you and you can watch them as well, how they survive on a low income. It's very smart. Very, when you see some of them will be, using their coal pots or certain things, you do that for the time being so you could start up. You have to crawl before you walk. You cannot just get up and say, you want to go live like a king. You have to go and scout everything, scout the battlefields, as I would say, before you go to war. Yeah, that's my opinion.
No, like that's some really good points in terms of like, you've offered like some ideas in terms of like things that people can do to make some, side money to facilitate, their move, because you don't know what it's going to be like on the ground, and obviously it's going to take time for you to kind of, find your feet, and so it will be good to kind of have that backup income as well. Like, you mentioned like you may need to make some adjustments when you're on the ground, so you can't maybe be splashing out like
no, you can't.
splashing out like like here Africa, I'm here, so you really have to exercise money management and strategize. Is it you have to do your own trims, for example? Is it that you have to change your cooking method? You really have to adapt to try to get the best out of the experience, and to if you're thinking about launching your business as well, make working towards making that be sort of more successful. And that, I feel like that will kind of also limit your chances in terms of saying, what, this is not working out, I'm heading back, because you failed to make those necessary, I think in some cases, adjustments in order to help you to maximize on the ground and potentially kind of start up your business. So definitely, I think that's some valuable points that you've actually mentioned as well. And you talked about like Amazon or eBay and Craigslist. So like we're having these conversations that are going to be, I feel like, really helpful, because it's really kind of we're having people like Martin who generate ideas, and people think, oh, I didn't think about this, oh, let me go and perhaps explore that as a potential income. But then again, some people may say, like, I don't know what you have to what you may think about this, but what would you say to some people who say like, oh, but if you want to move to the continent, you may have this argument, and then you have investment back in maybe in the UK or in the US, isn't that basically you're doubting yourself in terms of you making progress on the continent because you're still holding on to something back in the UK or the US? So they may doubt how genuine you are in terms of what you want to do on the continent. Oh, I don't know if that's the right word.
That, that yeah, yes, but you see, that's not doubt. That's just brainwash and stupidity. Let's do the maths. Chinese people, they invest all over. They have little, what you call little pods or bases, I would say. Okay? All over the world. They're in South America, they're in the Caribbean, but still, China is home. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yes, yes.
White people go all over the world and they have bases. Look at where Puerto Rico is. But guess what? It's the United States of America. You understand? But America is still home for the white Americans. When you look now at the Russians, they have investments in England. So, and still Russia is home. You listen, this is something that where we as an individual, yes, we love Africa. Yes, we want to help the systematic growth, but we cannot be stupid. We are in the game and we live in an economical world. You have to put your hands in different pots. You have to invest in different areas. Not because you're going to leave America, Canada, England, or your home-based country, wherever it is in the world, that you're just going to say, oh, only in Africa. No. You keep what you have there, you check on it, you maintain it, and then you look for more. You're going into Africa to help, but to not only help the economy, but help yourself. You're not going to Africa to be stupid. You're not moving to Africa to impress. You're not moving to Africa to set the trend that you're the king. No, you're moving there to, as I just said, to just make that simple difference that can help yourself and the people. So you have to keep something around to have that economical growth, to make sure that, you know, at least if there is a calling that where, you know, possibly exists, a great-great-grandchild might want to go back to that country to visit or to study, they wouldn't have to curse their grandparents. They can say, well, listen, my grandfather or grandmother left a house there. That's going to help me when I'm in university, or we have a little business. It's just common sense. But you see, again, with Black people, we're very sensitive and we're emotional. So when you talk about living a business in one country or doing something in one country, you hear the outside people want to come and criticize it. But at the end of the day, we kind of look at them. You know, so we have to look at us, what's best for us, and what's going to create a forward movement for us. If you keep depending and looking on people, tell you what, the same people that's going to question and say, are you in doubt of moving to Africa? Tell them, hey, well, then borrow me some money then and I'll give up my investment. How about let me get 20K then, since you know you have so much of these opinions that you want to drive into my life. You kind of look at these people, listen to these people. Remember the story with Noah, he was building the ark and everyone was laughing. So hey, go build your ark. Whilst they're laughing, good luck to them. It's very simple. You know, if you feel good, you buy a little boat. So when you see some of them drowning, you give one of them. But just remember, if your ship is sinking and you put the wrong set of people on your boat, they're going to make it sink even quicker. So yeah, so yeah, it's my opinion that, you know, stay, think, invest. Don't care about what people say in life. Definitely leave something back in whatever country you're coming from. It doesn't have to be much until you reach your age and you can pass it on to someone else, or you can sell. It's simple. You won't lose. I mean, there is a rule: when the cat's away, the mice will play. So your business might, you know, lose, you know, certain things, or certain issues might happen when you're away. But you know, you made that sacrifice for greater good, for a bigger movement that you're on. If you're in Africa, like I stated earlier, you know, Africa's a wealthy place. It's just that it doesn't have the systematic things in place that other countries have. Poor people are the highest consumers. That's the first you should know. We're the highest consumers.
So frustrating. Like,
that's
only just change
right.
it.
This is why everybody goes there. People look at the population of Africa and say, "What?
We can be. We would be so much more powerful if we just realize that this whole, you know, consuming. You know, it's a capitalistic kind of society that we live in. You're constantly being fed. Buy this, do this, do that, and we fall into it every time.
That's correct. And the thing with the people on the continent, and not only in the continent, but majority of other places around the world, is that people in third world countries, they want first world things. People in first world countries want third world things. So you have to understand that psychology. So when you go there, the key thing that you have is access. So you need to remember, how can you trade the two? Okay, the ones in third world countries want new things. Guess what? You introduce it to the new things to them. But you also have the byproducts. That's where you're really going to make the proper money that you want. So, for instance, if people want to come down now and they want to build houses and they're afraid of electricity, you're selling generators on the side. You know, it's simple planning that you need to do. And, you know, when you have your business in your home country, that means you can still be communicating with people there. And that way now you can still come up with fresh new ideas. You know, you meet young people that will be from your home-based country who that you can bring over. Guess what? They'll need a place to live. They'll need somewhere to eat. You're already there in the head start, so you will reap your rewards of being there first. You know, no one cares about the chef in the kitchen now. People care about who owns the restaurant. Notice that. No, yeah, you go to any restaurant, the most expensive ones. They don't care who's in the kitchen making it.
Oh,
They
no.
look at the building and say, who owns this building? And that's what you want to be on now. You want to be in that mindset where when you touch down, people say, well, hold on, which farm are you getting this from? Or who owns all this piece of land over there? We need to get to know this
Wow.
person. When you think of that now, that's where you're growing and you're making it, because twist it or turn it, every area in Africa will once grow. And I will tell you why. In order for you to rise, you have to go down to the bottom. Am I wrong or am I right? You have to go very deep to understand that, yo, this struggle is real, you know. I need to change things. And then you start rising up again. That's how it has to work. At one point, America is only 243 years old. It was a struggling place in those 240 years that not every white person wanted to move there, but there were some people that were saying, listen, you know, the struggle we going on with the queen. The queen is like the mafia. She wants a cut of everything. Let's just go on that land over there where we can, you know, relax, take it easy for a few years, make some children, and create our own economical activity. The queen now and her people understood that and was like, what? You know what? This is going to work. You know, we need to go bully them quickly and see how we can control that land. So when they grow, they have to give us their cut. Now look at how America is right now. They control their shit now. England has to look towards America for certain, not cultural, but certain ideas for economical growth. America's way ahead of England when it comes to the movie industry, the music industry. But hold on, 243 years ago, they were not.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it just only took approximately 2.5 generations of families to do that. So you're first, that means your grandchildren were born into this world and not have to curse you as long as you make the correct decision.
Wow. That is,
Yeah. And that's what I think, in my opinion.
no, that's powerful. And you know, sometimes you have to kind of look at the history and learn from it. You know what I mean? So, you know, or take notes, and you know, saying that you're making some excellent points, which he always does. Like, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he just offers, you know, some valuable points that we can all sort of take on board, and you know, really kind of gets us sort of thinking. So I really appreciate that. And you know, I thought I'd just bring that question out there in terms of investment, because investment in the country that, you know, you're moving from to go to Africa, because I know there'll be some people who say, you know, she's not really down because you know, she's got investment, or you know, look at me, I've packed up everything, and yeah, I ain't leaving anything in England. Like, what, England? Bye. You know, but for me personally, also, I've chose to also invest in the UK. And you know, there'll maybe some people who criticize that, but you know, as Marvin says, is that you have to look at your own situation and work out what's best for you. We're not saying like everybody may not also have the opportunity to maybe invest in the country where they're coming from, but if you can, I feel like that also needs to be factored in as part of your strategy when you're thinking about moving to the continent. So thank you so much, Marvin. You know, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
No problem.
And you know, so many people love when you're here already. You're getting like many good points, Marvin. So really appreciate your time. Always.
Okay, take care of yourself.
Take care and all the best with everything. So, you know, we've just heard from Marvin. As I said, he's always on here giving us some amazing points, just really to get us really thinking, really, and to just trigger our thoughts and really just analyze our individual situations. One of the things that he said also that really stood out to me was the fact that, you know, don't look at what everybody else is doing when you're thinking about your particular journey, because everybody's journey is different. You know, I think like if you're always thinking about what the next person is doing, then you can't really focus on what you should be doing. What's your strategy, you know, because you're too busy looking at others. So, and like an analogy, I'm always saying, like, you know, imagine you're running a race, and you know, you could have won that race, but because you're too busy looking at where Tom, Dick, and Harry is, you know, basically they've passed you, and then you're like, oh my God, but I was nearly there. So just focus on you, and focus on your strategy maybe with your family. You know, just focus on you. Don't focus on what everybody's doing, but also you just look at what also you can learn from people, but also stay grounded in who you are and what you want to gain from the whole experience. I did kind of say we're rounding up, but I'll give one more opportunity, and like I always do, if anybody wants to call in. If not, we're really just going to wrap up. And I know some of you have already been saying, you know, it's been a really great conversation, but also it's been great because, you know, everybody who's called in and everybody who's taken the time to be also here in the live stream. You know, I'm seeing your comments. Also, you know, I'm trying to keep up with all the comments that's coming through. Please do go ahead and like the stream if you haven't already. You know, so just to kind of like conclude, we spoke about so many things. So if you came in late, you'd have to kind of go back to the beginning to really fish out some key points that may be helpful for you when you're thinking about strategizing. You know, we spoke about sort of doing your research on the ground, looking at the various opportunities, networking. If you're looking to move to that particular country, what are the policies on the ground with regards to immigration? You know, what documents needs to be in place? Can you connect with people on the ground once you visit the countries that you're potentially interested in visiting? Can you visit potential businesses and network with people? Can you gain information through like networking? Can you arrange meetings with business people who are doing a particular business that you're particularly interested in? We talked about healthcare, you know, like if that's important for you, and I feel like everybody should think about healthcare. You know, do you need to have a plan with regards to, is it that you're going to have insurance, accessing the public sector, the private sector, education, doing your research around education, and then like deciding which country you want to go to. You know, there's so much to really think about, and just having a business plan in place as well, a very thorough business plan that you've typed out. For me, it's like, if you just got it in here, like, but if you've typed it out, then it's like, right, you've got it on paper. You know, like my business plan is typed out. My business plans are typed out, you know, so I can always go back to it. I can, you know, take from it, I can add to it, and it's always there. If I sort of lose where I'm going, I just come back to my business plan. I'm like, right, okay, this and this and this and this and this. So having a good, solid business plan in place, I think that's very, very important. Yeah, and then, you know, making sure that you have the right amount of savings that you need to survive basically when you get on the continent is important. Because so many people go to the continent, and a lot of the times the issue why they end up coming back is because lack of finances. So, you know, having a strategy in place to help finance you again when you're there, and, you know, think about job creation when you're on the continent. Bring in sort of maybe a unique business opportunity to Africa, or, you know, investing in something that could be that, you know, that needs to be invested in, that needs to be expanded at whichever country that you're going to. So lots and lots and lots of knowledge has been shared here on the channel this evening. and I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate all the love and support. Thank you guys so much, and you all have a very good evening. Take care.